for questions, especially from the online audience.
I have a question. From verse 43.
All right.
The word mantra.
The what?
The word mantra. Mantra.
Mantrash. Huh?
Yes. The meaning is, he reveals the truth of his confidential pastimes to his most exalted and intimate devotees. I've never heard this definition of mantra before.
No, because this is in his form as the personified Vedas. See the other, that line? Riddha spashtaksharo mantrash. He's full of all transcendental opulence. Riddha means always increasing. Spashtakshara, that refers to the Vedas. The Akshara are the shlokas of the Vedas, the four Vedas. So he's teaching that. He is the Vedas. The Vedas are non-different from the Lord. They're his presence in the form of sound vibration. So mantra. What does mantra do? Reveals the truth of the Lord's confidential pastimes to his devotees. So mantra, he is mantra. The Hare Krishna mantra is the same exact quality and potency as the Lord himself. That he, nam akari bahuda nija sarva shaktish. The Lord has invested all his transcendental potencies in his holy names. See? In other words, his holy names, non-different from himself. In every bona fide mantra, there is the holy name of the Lord. We've been over this so many times. There's the seed, the bija, then there's the nama, and then there's the seva, the act or mood of service in which the mantra is offered to the Lord. See, so just like the offering of prasadam becomes non-different from the Lord in quality, spiritual food, so the offering of the mantra becomes non-different from the Lord in quality, spiritual sound.
So this is why we chant mantras, and why we don't just do karma yoga, or we don't just do other processes. Right.
Karma yoga spiritualizes our work.
But
See?
It
doesn't give us spiritual sound vibration, but spiritual sound vibration is very important because the mind operates by sound vibration. Everyone, as you go through the day, is involved in a mental dialogue. Well, what if I do this, and maybe that'll happen, and then, I should get one of these, and I should do that, and I should go here and there, blah, 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 blah. Constant mental dialogue. Reasoning through the likely consequences of our activities according to whatever ontology that we happen to hold. So, mantra is a way to purify the process of the inner dialogue. That clean feeling that you get when you finish chanting Vishnu Sahasranama, it's because the mind, these are difficult mantras. You really have to focus the mind to chant them nicely. And it's long, too. It's so long that when you're in the middle of it, it seems like it's just going on and on and on. That's because the attention span of the mind is exceeded by the length of the prayer, of the mantra. So the mind becomes full of transcendental sound. And then by the time you're finished, it's just like, I poured some Ajax in my ear, clean it all out. Nice, bright, shiny mind.
Okay, there are some questions about going to hell and heaven and coming back.
I can't hear a thing you're saying.
There are some questions about a devotee going to heaven and hell in the context of Maharaj Yudhishthir. So David Lugan asks...
It's really hard for me to make out what you're saying. You are going to have to project and enunciate.
Okay, so there's a question from David Lugan. Would a sincere devotee who leaves his body before reaching full self-realization have to visit hell?
Every case is different. It's always individual. The laws of karma are very difficult. Actually, they're beyond the intelligence of a human being to understand. So you're going to have to take that up with Yamaraj. I mean, it's really hard to tell what a particular individual's karma is. We don't know. We can't see directly. We can more or less guess by their activities. But, we don't really know for sure because we don't have that mystical power to be able to see that. That's why, the best thing to do is just become a pure devotee, and then there's no question.
Okay, there was an exchange on the chat about returning from the spiritual world, and Varun wanted to know that if...
Slowly enunciate and project.
Varun wanted to know that
Okay.
That if a devotee who goes to Krishna Loka never comes back, why did Srila Prabhupada come back?
He was sent. Sometimes Krishna will send his devotees when there's an urgent need for some particular mission. Or he comes himself. He can come whenever he wants. He's not limited to the times in the scriptures. But usually, he'll come incognito, and we won't know that this person is the Lord. But he'll play some pivotal role in our lives or in the drama of the world. But he doesn't always announce his incarnations. When he does that, then he doesn't expect to be treated as an incarnation. But when he announces his incarnations, then that means he's willing to receive worship as an incarnation. So there can be covered incarnations of the Lord, and like that.
So is it possible that the Lord has come here on this planet and not made himself known as the Lord?
Yes. There was an intimate conversation between Shivananda Sain and Lord Chaitanya. At first, Shivananda didn't want to accept Lord Chaitanya as being an incarnation. So then the Lord began to describe all the times that he had appeared to Shivananda in dreams, in visions. And then what really did it was one time you were fleeing from the Muslims troops, and I appeared as a boatman and took you across the river and saved you and your family. And at that point, Shivananda just lost it. So the Lord can intervene at any time in the lives of his devotees.
Question from Bruce. Is Vishuddha Sattva considered the topmost feature or division of Uttama Bhakti? That is, does the spirit soul need to reach Vishuddha Sattva before he or she can become self-realized?
Yes, but Vishuddha Sattva is not necessarily Uttama Bhakti. I don't think you can make those two things equivalent, those two terms. Vishuddha Sattva means that is pure goodness with no trace of passion or ignorance. And that is the qualification to enter into the spiritual world. But then Uttama Bhakti is something else. Uttama Bhakti is what the activities that the souls engage in after they enter the spiritual world. Once they've entered into the Dham, see, one can manifest